Welcome to Typecast Heroes, where we believe typology can save the world. I'm Amanda Fulgerson.
And I'm Jessie Miller, and today we are continuing our series on how each of the cognitive functions presents in each of the positions of the cognitive stack. Now, if you have not seen our channel before, we do have a lot of resources on our page for all of the things, for all of the 16 types, for all of the cognitive functions, and for the cognitive stack. So if you have any questions about any of the things that we mentioned, we have resources on our page, and you are also free to contact us if at any point something does not make sense. Today's episode is going to specifically focus on extroverted thinking as it presents in the child function, which is for ESFPs and ENFPs. And spoiler alert, Amanda is an ENFP right here. So she will be giving us some of her personal experiences with extroverted thinking child.
Just a quick reminder that we at TCH wholeheartedly believe that anyone can be anything. And we say that in every single video. But we're not going back on that. We absolutely do believe that. However, in this series, we are solely comparing the function that we're talking about, which is extroverted thinking, in the child position. So we're really wanting to look at the behaviors of ENFPs and ESFPs using their TE child to give you guys examples and help you more easily understand and relate to extroverted thinking. However, the biggest takeaway, the biggest thing to really focus on in this video is more than just the behaviors and examples. It is the motivation behind those behaviors and examples. So just checking with yourself to see why you're doing what you're doing, why you're making the decisions that you're making. So keep that in mind as we go throughout the video.
Exactly, nicely said. So extroverted thinking, as is defined by Carl Jung, is primarily concerned with regulating, planning, and enforcing logical systems. So it's when you bring logic out into the world. You are structuring the outside environment, you're making it more efficient, and you're making it more effective. And the child function is the function that can be childlike. So it's a little vulnerable, it's a little naive, innocent, can even be a little bratty, throw a little bit of temper tantrums at times. And so when you combine these things together in the ESFP and the ENFP, like Amanda said, they present typical behaviors. So some of these typical behaviors for the ENFP and the ESFP is they find relief in bringing organization to their external environment. You want to speak on that?
Yeah. So if I'm having a really bad day, or if I'm actually, let me say, if I'm really stressed out, if I'm having a stressful period of time in my life, organizing my closet or organizing my workspace, and when I say organizing, I mean like color coordinated, organized to a T, that type of situation, makes me feel really, really good. It's almost as if my closet is like a massively long to-do list and I just checked off every single box. That's what it feels like, is like that good. It's the best way to say it.
And I worked with an ESFP coworker, and she fixed all my things all the time. She was constantly organizing everything because I don't have extroverted thinking in my top. So she was constantly fixing all this stuff, and I know that it drives Amanda crazy when she comes over, and my office is...
Yeah, y'all, the makeup bag, the closet, and the office. Y'all, she has 6 shirts on one hanger. 6 shirts on one hanger.
Yes, I do. I'm not sorry about it.
You be you. Be unapologetically you. I will say that to the day I die. But if my TE could come into her space and
just tell me how to do it. So this is an example of something else, another behavior that extroverted thinking child can do. It can be a little bratty. And so extroverted thinking already has a tendency to be very bossy. And to tell people, assertive is a nicer way to say that, but when you put that into a function that's kind of underdeveloped, then that takes on that sort of bratty behavior. So again, they like to organize things. They organize things because it's good for their soul. They like to make kind of games out of structuring and making things efficient. Amanda has a shirt that says, or a cup, that says, lady in the streets, freak in the bed, or spreadsheets.
Yes.
Freak in the, oh my God.
Actually, someone who works for me gave me a shirt that says, lady in the streets, freak into spreadsheets.
Because she was obsessed with spreadsheets.
I still am.
And fixing
Excel
them.
is life.
No, I also enjoy Excel because I used it, and I also obviously like data because of the research that I do, but I'm not getting like childish glee from that.
No.
That is extroverted thinking right into play. So because it's an external function, this function can also need a little bit of validation. So they like to be told that they are efficient and effective. And if you are telling them that they're not efficient or effective, they can get...
I mean, there's so many things. First of all, angry. Like, I'm going to get angry. But also, you get sad, depending on who you are. But I would say most of the time it's going to be the child throwing the brat, or the child throwing the tantrum, being a brat, that you're going to see come out if you make an ESFP or an ENFP feel like they are inefficient or wasting your time. In a conversation, if I am doing a presentation and I see that there's someone who is just so far gone in my conversation, I almost get defensive because I'm like, hey, you're wasting my time if you're not paying attention after I just did all of this. So absolutely not on my watch, not on my time. And it does. It comes across as bossy and
sassy.
Very sassy.
Additionally, they do not really like people telling them how to do things because they feel like they understand logic and efficient systems. And so they really don't want somebody to come in and say, I know how to make this more efficient. They don't want that. Not at all.
Not want that. No. Yeah.
And the other thing that can happen sometimes is because we have child function, what we have a tendency to do with all of these positions is we see them in ourselves, and before you start differentiation, before you understand what each of these archetypes do, before you understand the cognitive functions, we have a tendency to project these things onto others. And so I've seen this in her. So she has an extroverted thinking child, and even before like we knew types, she would do this. People who are extroverted thinking dominants, she would see them as childish, as childlike, as maybe a little bit
immature.
And needing of guidance is actually what I saw most, is that she wanted to parent them. So it wasn't even that she was looking down on them, but it was like she wanted to just like, let me take you by the hand and show you the way. Let me show you the way, ESTJ and ENTJ, I will make you a better person. So it's how that can happen in our mind if we're not conscious of that, because probably always, I mean, sometimes they do need guidance, but probably not always did the ESTJs or ENTJs that she was wanting to help, they probably did know what they were doing a little more than she gave them credit for. But again, she was seeing the child in her in somebody else. Even though relating it to it.
Even though their TE was much stronger than mine and is leading the way and they were doing just fine, I saw their TE like I see my own. I related to them in that way, and I thought that they were trying to do these big projects as children, basically, because that's how I saw my own TE.
Right, and so what tends to happen is her FI, her introverted feeling process, will want to come and parent their extroverted thinking process because that's how she relates to them. And so again, it's super important to remember that when you are interacting with that person. So speaking of that introverted feeling process, one of the things with extroverted thinking as your third function is because Amanda's an extrovert, ENFPs and ESFPs are extroverts, they have a tendency to loop. So they'll go from their extroverted perceiving function, so extroverted sensing, extroverted thinking, and they'll jump down into extroverted sensing, extroverted intuition, and they'll jump down into extroverted thinking, and they'll skip that introverted feeling process, and they'll want to do all of the actions, and they won't really think about the ramifications of their actions or what it means to them. And so one day they can look up and be like, what does this all mean to me? I've done all these actions and I don't know what this means. And that can be create quite the existential crisis in them.
Yes, it absolutely can. And it can also confuse you and make you think that you are more of a thinking type if you're looping hardcore, because even FI itself isn't actually feelings. It's not emotions and all that. So even if you're not an emotional person, you can still absolutely be an ESFP or an ENFP, because again, FI is something different. It's not feelings. It doesn't mean that I have to be mushy gushy, and I absolutely am definitely not. I am to others because I feel like people need that. The world is harsh and cruel and evil, and so I want to be the light for them. But in the grand scheme of things, in my relationships, in my day-to-day, people don't make me sad. People don't typically, it's very hard to make me cry. It's very hard to make me feel things for you or towards you. If anything, you will piss me off and I will get extremely angry. That is how I can get emotional.
Yes.
Very true.
So that is one of the dangers of looping. So you don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
She wants to build up her introverted feeling parent, because one of the things that ENFPs and ESFPs offer the world is they are super joyous most of the time. They bring a lot of great ideas. They have a ton of creativity. They've got a ton of motivation to get things done because they can lean into their introverted feeling process and bring so much vision to the world. But if they're stuck, if they forget their introverted feeling process and they're looping, then their visions are going to lack that soul and that heart and that drive, that thing that makes it not just a task, but makes it like a mission.
Right. And if you're an ESFP or an ENFP out there and you are thinking maybe you're looping, I would encourage you to look at what you're doing in life and see if you're kind of miserable or maybe trying to find a purpose in what you're doing. Like, let's say you have an office job and you're trying to figure out, like, why am I here? What is the bigger picture? What am I actually doing? What am I contributing to the world? Chances are you really need to dig into your FI. It's comfortable and really easy to go into RTE, and it feels good to get that stuff done. And it makes you feel like you're kind of on top of the world, like you've got it all together. It's nice. But really lean into that FI. I jumped ahead to personal growth, but really lean into that FI and make sure that you're checking with yourself that what you're spending your time on, what you're perfecting all of these systems for, what you're really focusing on with your TE and creating structure for is actually impacting whatever your FI is so badly needing to impact.
And that's what you do for DCH. I know. Like sitting here thinking about it, and I was like, oh yeah, she does that for us. Because being a human is hard.
And this should make it just a little bit easier. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all the things. If you have not watched any of our other videos, if this is the very first time you're seeing us, then welcome, and we love you, and thank you so much for being here. But please go watch our very first video. It's called Welcome to Typecast Heroes, where we go over who we are, what Typecast Heroes is, where we've been, where we are, and where we want to be, and what this whole project is all about.
Go easy on that video.
Well, y'all are nice, but yeah, go easy. But also, if you are an ESFP or an ENFP and you have not gone through the interview process, please leave a comment below, message us on Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, or Discord, and we'll get you set up. Specifically, ESFPs is what you need.
Yep.
ESFPs. ENFPs, we love y'all. And if you're interested, we are still 100%. Like, I mean, she just wants to talk to all the people, so so come talk. But ESFPs, we have not hit the number yet.
Nope.
So, yeah, so come talk. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's gather around the type fire and sing our type fire song. Our MBTITYPOLOGY song. And if you feel uncomfortable, then know there's nothing wrong.